Today, we've got exclusive footage of Homefront multiplayer and games for cheap bastards.
Plus, your first look at new DLC for Call of Duty Black Ops, and we'll celebrate the 20th anniversary of Blizzard. X-Play starts right now.
Hello and welcome to X-Play. No one wears bikinis on this show.
No.
On the outside. I'm Adam Sessler.
And I'm Morgan Webb. Blair might wear a bikini. If the ratings dip and we need him to, we can make him.
Hey Blair, the ratings dipped! There he goes right now. All this week, we're going to be celebrating the 20th birthday of Blizzard with retrospective looks, pro tips, interviews, and an in-depth look at Diablo 3's PvP.
Also on the way, exclusive multiplayer gameplay from the America Under Siege shooter Homefront. And find out how to get some of last year's best games for a fraction of the price without having to resort to the whole stealing angle.
Now, video game developers come and go.
Right.
In fact, it seems like every time I check the news, there's some company being shut down. Everyone's getting laid off. Happy times all around.
Not Blizzard, though. They have been going strong for 20 years. They're older than most of the people watching this show.
I'm crying inside. Here's how a small company that specialized in ports transformed itself into the industry's biggest moneymaker.
20 years is a really long time. It's sort of hard to even comprehend the fact that we've been doing this for 20 years.
20 years of accomplishment for us. I think we all feel very proud of that. It's been a lot of work, without question.
What is our secret to success? Make games that people want to play.
Sure, the whole world is playing Blizzard games now, but 20 years ago, when the company was started by 3 UCLA graduates, it was named Silicon and Synapse, and Warcraft was just a twinkle in their eyes.
The very first projects that we were working on were ports for Interplay of their DOS products. It was really a great learning experience for Mike and myself. We had never written a line of code for a game.
Lost Vikings was really our first completely original title.
In the next year or so, we worked on a sequel to RPM racing called Rock and Roll Racing.
The stage is set, the green flag drop.
That small studio went through some big changes in 1994, including changing its name to Blizzard Entertainment and creating the first Warcraft.
It was a kind of a heady age back in the day when we were working on Warcraft 1. I remember going down the hall a number of times and watching the lead programmer. We'd have the screen up with like little tiny orc, little tiny human running around. Wow, that just looked insane.
Warcraft was soon joined by a couple more iconic IPs.
I remember feeling very strongly that Diablo as a concept, just the idea that there's this war between heaven and hell, just in terms of like the fictional engagement of it at a franchise level. Diablo felt like it had something fresh, a deeper resonance underlying the gameplay.
Arise, Diablo. I'm Jim Raynor, marshal of these parts.
Well, I remember working on StarCraft. I really felt like that team was sort of in the zone. We knew we were working on something really special.
While StarCraft and Diablo have millions of rabid fans worldwide, nothing on this planet can come close to the success of World of Warcraft.
The drums of war thunder once again.
It's really interesting, actually, looking back to when we announced World of Warcraft to the world. I don't think anyone back then, us, the fan base, anyone else, really expected to become what it is.
World of Warcraft, man, just kind of, it was kind of unprecedented. It's been the craziest ride imaginable, watching this little engine climb the mountain.
Thanks to the recent record-breaking launch of Cataclysm, the upcoming release of Diablo 3, and a history of critically acclaimed sequels, it looks like Blizzard Entertainment has the foundation set for another 20 years.
Yes, the 20 years that we've already, done are really great. But for me, and I think for a lot of the leadership here, we're also very excited about what's coming in the future. This is part of all of us, and so we want to make sure that it, persists even after we're long gone.
Now, a cynic could say that
Yes.
Blizzard is just coasting on WoW money. Well, they wouldn't be so much a cynic. They would be accurate to a point, but I think the fact is they make really good games. They have a tradition of doing that.
Well, they're actually, I think, keeping PC gaming alive in a way. I mean, StarCraft comes out. It's a really good game. They put more money into StarCraft than they would have been able to if they hadn't had Warcraft money to piggy bank on, so I think it's pretty good.
No, and they also just have this history of doing things that really were done, if not for the first time, but done so well, so early, like cooperative play in Diablo and Diablo 2. I mean, that was not something that was as pervasive then as it is now.
Well, and Diablo 3 is going to be a huge game, and they can maybe probably coast on Diablo money for a little while.
I think they can coast on Diablo money. They're kind of coasting on StarCraft money. I mean, they're just kind of coasting, or hoverboarding.
They're hoverboarding.
That's how I see it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, for a company that seems to be that successful and has this money-pumping machine in World of Warcraft, you could see them really not trying very hard and doing just fine. We call that Activision. But it is remarkable how much quality that they really put into all of their products.
It has sort of it's their company ethic, and hopefully that stays even if management happens to change or anything like that. We hope that sort of ethic will change.
And you were just recently down at Blizzard.
Yes.
I mean, you kind of see it when you walk in. Their credos, what they have around the rather impressive orc statue, really kind of reaffirms what their value system is. And I think it translates to their games probably better than any other developer out there.
And something about Blizzard, which is small, but you notice, there are never any leaks out of Blizzard. There are leaks out of every company on Earth. We always have hints about things early, but Blizzard, there are no leaks out of Blizzard.
And talking to Blizzard, off the record and on the record are the same thing, because you're not going to learn any more when you say, okay, OTR.
But there's never some disaffected game tester who decides to leak something to his buddy, a joystick or something like that. So
yeah, it might have something to do with that room that said 101 and the screaming coming from behind it, but I don't know. I might be wrong.
They interact with their community.
Of course.
They definitely update the games. They still update Diablo 2.
We'll see what happens when Diablo 3 comes out. But yeah, I mean, it's not always in the best business sense to do that because you want them to buy the new product. But they seem to understand that loyalty is probably the basis of their success.
I mean, you think of another company that could have their own convention?
I mean, I would love to go to THQ Celebration.
That sounds like a good time.
All right, well, I think about that. Let's send it over to Blair.
I went to a THQ party once for Saints Row, and they gave me a pimp chalice. I drink it at Denny's. It's weird. When you're playing online multiplayer shooters, there's nothing worse than vehicle hogs. Let's talk about these people. Half the time, the jackasses, they can't even get a kill, let alone drive the freaking vehicle. Then you have to wait 2 minutes for a respawn and somebody else takes it. Well, guess what? In Homefront, you can actually buy vehicles on the fly whenever you need them. And we've got all of the details in this exclusive look.
Trying to conquer the FPS multiplayer market takes blood, guts, and killer ideas. Chaos Studios thinks Homefront can win the war.
So Homefront multiplayer is all about large-scale warfare. We've got 32 players over Xbox Live and PSN, and we support a really large variety of different types of warfare.
We get you into the game, we get you there fast, we place you in a good spot where you can get to the battle really quickly.
So we've got infantry combat, we've got ground vehicles, we've got aircraft, we've got remote-controlled drones. There's a lot of different types of weaponry in the game.
All the weapons that you need, they're right at your fingertips anytime you want them.
The kind of secret sauce of Homefront's multiplayer is what we call on-the-fly strategic choice. So what we did was we created this system called battle points. And what it does is allow you to earn points for everything you do in the game. So you're killing enemies, you're earning points, you're capturing objectives, you're earning points.
It's kind of like a currency system. So the more you do, the more you help your team, the more stuff you get, the more toys you get. All of the special weapons you can buy at any time. Anytime you have the battle points for them, you can go ahead and buy them.
So you can use those points to buy rocket launchers. You can use them to buy drones.
First missile launched.
You can even buy vehicles with those points. If you want a vehicle, you select it right from the spawn menu, right as you're spawning, and boom, you're in the vehicle. You're not running long distances to try and get to a tank, You can get that stuff when you want it and get right into the action.
Destroyed.
Then there's Homefront's Battle Commander mode.
So the Battle Commander is an AI commander that's basically happening behind the scenes.
The Battle Commander game mode, it puts these two battle commanders kind of pitted against each other. One on the Korean side and one on the American side. He's trying to help you do the thing that's in the best interest of your team to help your team win.
Retreat, comrades! We have new objectives!
The Battle Commander will either assign priority threats for your team to go after, or he'll reward you if you're on a streak and give you buffs and rewards. The enemy team might have a player who's doing really well. He's on a streak, so he becomes a threat, and your commander assigns you to hunt him down. If you hunt him down, you get a bounty.
Priority threat is down. Nice work, soldier.
Chaos is confident Homefront's buffed up multiplayer can give the world's sofa soldiers the kills they crave when it invades March 15th.
I think people who are really, who have played Chaos games, they kind of had that expectation that we're going to really deliver a cool, authentic military experience with this real futuristic twist, and we definitely have that.
So we've kind of combined that really large scale you get in some of those bigger games and that really tight, fast-paced action you get in those infantry games.
So I think people who are really looking forward to having that kind of intense FPS experience with vehicles, with drones, with airstrikes, we are the package. We're the complete package, and that's what's really exciting.
I really hope Hacksaw Jim Duggan will be downloadable in that game, America. Coming up on X-Play, we've got a new character preview from Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and the top 5 Capcom characters we want in the game. Plus, we've got games for cheap bastards and what we think of the new Call of Duty Black Ops DLC. We'll be right back.
If I could point to one specific reason why I'm standing here hosting a show about games and not getting rich off of banking, it's Ghosts and Goblins. So needless to say, I was very excited to learn that the game's lead character has been added to the lineup for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 because the game, it needs more underwear. Here's a preview. I'm happy to be joined by Seth Killian, here to talk about the part that's most personal to me about my enthusiasm for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and that is the inclusion of Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins. What was the thought process to actually get him in the game?
So I was a big fan of Arthur. Fortunately, some other people shared my opinion. And not only did we want to put him in the game, but we wanted to put him in there in as awesome a way as possible.
Arthur comes from an era where moves were not something that you really thought about with video game characters. Like, if it can do 3 things, then you have a game. Also, he's somewhat diminutive. I mean, do those pose some challenges to make him actually kind of, fight with the best of the best?
Arthur's maybe not quite a midget, but yeah, he's not the biggest guy, but that's part of what makes winning with him so fun and such a challenge and makes him seem like he's up against these awesome things. So it gives him some advantages, actually. There'll be some situations where things might miss Arthur. But he's also got some other challenges where he's got a double jump, but he's relatively slow, but he's got a lot of range with all of his different weapons. We also just saw an armor power-up there. Mm-hmm. You'll see his armor has got a super armor power-up, which actually lets all of his weapons have a second mode where there's basically they're more powerful, maybe they track right at the opponent. They do all sorts of different stuff. But the other thing to watch with his new armor is that there's also a time bar that's appeared when he powered that up. And what happens at the end of that, you see the armor explodes, and he's left in his boxers.
All right, you've answered the most important question to anyone who's a fan of the series. Can the man fight in his underwear?
He can indeed. So if you decide to go for the armor power-up and go for the glory there, what you have to deal with at the end of that time bar is that you're now out of armor and you're left in your skivvies.
When is Marvel vs. Capcom 3 coming out?
February 15th, 2011 for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
All right, I'm going to buy my special undies just for that. Thank you so much for your time. There you go.
Sir Arthur is ready to do battle.
While we're happy that Arthur and other classic Capcom characters have made it into Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it's still not good enough.
Yeah, we're really never happy
No.
about anything ever. In today's X List, we're counting down the top 5 Capcom characters we want in the game.
Coming in at number 5 is Regina from the Dino Crisis series. Okay, she's just a lowly sword agent without any superpowers, but she did take on freaking dinosaurs. Captain America should be a cakewalk.
Batman doesn't have superpowers, he beat Darkseid. What up? Number 4 is Ryu from the Breath of Fire series. Yeah, another character with that name could cause some confusion, but this guy can turn into a dragon, and that is awesome.
It is.
Yes.
Our number 3 pick is Mega Man X. Sure, old Mega Man is fine and classic, but he's seriously lacking in the mobility department.
Yeah.
Marvel vs. Capcom is all about air combat and crazy acrobatics, not weak jumps.
Yeah, I want to jump at an angle, Mega Man, and you just cannot do that, just up and down. Number 2 is Strider. He was great to use in Part 1 and Part 2, so why is he not good enough for 3, Capcom? Sorry about that.
A little anger.
Very much.
But the number one character we want to see in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is Phoenix Wright. He may sweat a lot in the courtroom, but his objection hyper would be absolutely epic.
I just had a visual. Adam, just take this. Go to Adam.
Objection!
Blair, given the gift of the impossible segue. Thanks. Gaming is an expensive habit, second only to drugs, or maybe the hunting of humans. You know, Tom Berenger, Coast of Goblins. You can't afford to risk $60 on a game that you want to trade in after an hour. No, play it smart. Check out these games for cheap bastards.
We've got some discounted games to get you through these tough times. These are games for cheap bastards. Who doesn't like a sexy 500-year-old witch who's good with a weapon? Nobody. So Bayonetta is just the trick for you. The game has been priced as low as $18 for PS3 and $16 for 360. That is a good price to pay for a game we rated 4 out of 5. Who says there's no more heroes? Not us. No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle continues the story of Travis Touchdown as he returns to a lot of angry people that want revenge on him for past slights. The struggle is less desperate with a price we found of less than 20 smackers for this 4 out of 5 brawler. Now that's some cheap games, cheap bastards.
After the break, find out if you really need to shell out 15 bones for new Call of Duty Black Ops maps. Plus, we're going to peer into the mind of Tom Chilton, the game director of World of Warcraft. Tom, we're coming into your mind right after this.
Welcome back. Blair Herter does not have any secrets. It's one of his major character flaws.
I don't know if it's a flaw. I mean, here's the thing. I'm an open book. An open book that likes it when ladies wear horse masks.
See what I mean? We know entirely too much.
Person we don't know much about, Blizzard's Tom Chilton.
He's the game director for World of Warcraft, and here are 5 things you may not know about him.
It's like with the faces, it's like that, and you can feed them the oats, and then they're so grateful. No?
Hi, I'm Tom Chilton. I'm game director of World of Warcraft, and here are 5 things that you might not know about me. What you might not know is that I come from a long line of cowboys. I've done it all when it comes to cowboying. I've done the gathering the cattle, I've done the roping them, the branding them, castrating them, you name it. My favorite band is Elite Tauren Chieftain. That's of course because they bring home the soul of what it means to be Blizzard. If I wasn't a game director, I'd be a sad man. Other than Cataclysm, I really recommend checking out StarCraft 2 or Call of Duty or even Gran Turismo. Those are all awesome games that should really be played by everyone. Right now I'm reading The Theory of Everything by Stephen Hawking. It's a very interesting book that has some interesting insight into what may have happened with the creation of the universe.
I believe Azeroth is only 6,000 years old.
And that's 5 things you may not have known about me.
Edification. These days, we're starting to see downloadable multiplayer shooters that cost $15, and they look suspiciously like Call of Duty. Do you take the plunge, or do you give Activision more of your money and download the new Black Ops maps? Here's what we think.
Black Ops, or Blops as the kids are calling it, finally has a significant chunk of downloadable content, or DLC as the kids are calling it. First Strike is a collection of 4 new multiplayer maps, plus 1 zombie experience. Let's take a look. Berlin Wall is one of our favorites. It gives you access to both sides of the iconic barrier during the Cold War era. There are buildings nearby, including a record store. Just check out this classic vinyl, Der Doktortitel and Fruns. Yeah, that album got me through a lot of tough times growing up.
Deadly forces authorized.
Next up, Discovery is an abandoned German outpost in Antarctica. It's set under the beautiful northern lights and features a lot of deep crevices that are easy to fall into and hilarious to fall into. Kowloon is set amid the high rises of Hong Kong. It sort of reminded us of Blade Runner's futuristic urban decay. There are a ton of paths to move through, and the symmetrical design makes it very run and gun friendly. Lastly, Stadium is set in 1970s New York. It's built around a hockey rink, and we're sad to report that you can't ride one of the Zambonis. Most of the action is bunched up around the main entrance, and we really enjoyed this one because of its non-conventional layout.
Kicking ass and making messes!
As if those new maps weren't enough, there's a brand new zombie slaying experience called Ascension. Sure, we would have loved new weapons and vehicles, but the gorgeous new maps are definitely enough to make this worth your money. XPlay recommends Black Ops First Strike. Tomorrow on XPlay, we'll go hands-on with Diablo 3 PvP and review Killzone 3 for the PlayStation 3. And a brutally honest review of the downloadable shooter Breach. All that and more, don't miss it.
Plus, great user-created levels for Little Big Planet 2.
Thank you so much for watching XPlay.
Because there's people out there that have creativity that exceeds me on a good day.